While millions of people are either falling into ecstasy or deep depression because a ball crossed a painted line, there is a massive group looking on in total confusion. To them, the World Cup final means about as much as a weather forecast, and modern neuroscience suggests their brains might be running on a completely different operating system. Don't click away because the next few minutes will change how you view the sports-obsessed people in your life. Let's clear up something that rarely gets said out loud. If you don't care about the score, it doesn't make you a boring person. It doesn't mean you lack passion, but it does mean the triggers that control the majority of the population simply don't fire in your brain. Let's start with the basics. Why are people fans in the first place? We are social primates. For millennia, our survival depended on belonging to a pack. The group provided protection and food. Today, sports are an evolutionary surrogate for war and hunting. When a fan sees people in their club's jersey, their pituitary gland releases oxytocin, the same bonding hormone that connects a mother to her child. Sounds wild, right? Their brain literally tricks them into thinking these millionaire athletes are their kin. But here's where it gets interesting. People who are indifferent to sports often possess a lower herd instinct. Psychologists note a higher level of personal autonomy in them. They are more likely to say, "I don't need to dissolve into a crowd to feel significant." Social psychology research confirms that people with low interest in spectator sports are far less likely to divide the world into us versus them. Simply put, they don't automatically dislike someone just because they're wearing a scarf of the wrong color. But wait, it gets darker. What happens inside a fan's skull during a match is frighteningly similar to clinical addiction. You know that feeling before unboxing a new gadget? That's dopamine. Fans get these injections of neurotransmitters every few minutes of a game. It's microcycles of hope and reward. It is literally a needle. Brain scans show that cheering activates the same pleasure centers as gambling. And the key factor here is uncertainty. You don't know the outcome. It is precisely this lack of guarantees that keeps the dopamine tap open. In behaviorism, this is called variable reinforcement. It's the exact same mechanism that keeps people pulling the handle of a slot machine for hours. The brain doesn't care if the dopamine comes from roulette or a penalty kick. It just demands a refill. People who don't care about sports simply don't get this chemical kick from watching vicarious competition, and this might be innate. Research in behavioral genetics links variations in dopamine receptors to how prone a person is to sensation seeking. Your complete indifference to the Super Bowl might be written in your DNA code. There's another layer. Fans are susceptible to a phenomenon Robert Cialdini called burging, basking in reflected glory. When the team wins, they say, "We won." When they lose, it's "they blew it." Notice the pronoun switch. People without sports obsession rarely engage in these mental gymnastics. Their self-concept is more holistic. They don't need the external victories of strangers to respect themselves. Their self-esteem is more stable because it's based on personal achievements, not on factors they cannot control. And just to prevent a war in the comments, this doesn't mean one way is better. It's just different psychology. Curious fact, fans often score high on empathy tests. They can deeply empathize even with strangers on a screen. So where does the empathy go for those who don't watch sports? It's a question of resource allocation. Everyone has a limit on empathy. Those who ignore stadiums often direct this resource elsewhere: volunteering, close relationships, art, or science. Personality studies based on the Big Five model often find high scores in openness to experience among these people, a drive for aesthetics and complex ideas. They get their emotional peaks from music, nature, books, or problem solving. Their brains seek the same rewards: meaning, connection, transcendence. They just find them in different places. And let's be honest, for some, indifference to sports is a defense mechanism. Maybe it's an echo of humiliation in gym class. Maybe it's a rejection of the aggressive masculinity often packaged with fan culture. Or maybe they just never understood why grown adults scream at a TV over a piece of leather. Your indifference might have a backstory, or maybe you're just bored by it. Both are valid. But here is why fans and skeptics often can't understand each other. It comes down to the perception of meaning. Fans see a match as a grand narrative, the hero's journey, tragedy, redemption. It is real drama with real stakes. People outside of sports see this merely as a meaningless random number generator. They think, why would I invest emotions in an outcome I can't control in a game played by people I don't know? Logical? Absolutely. But fans are right in their own way too. These are just two different ways to satisfy the human hunger for a story. Some find an epic in a hockey playoff. Others find it in a complex novel, building a business or a scientific discovery. Researchers call this the difference between parasocial interaction and direct engagement. Fans build one-sided relationships with idols. Non-fans prefer to invest energy where there is feedback, where they are participants, not spectators. Neither strategy is superior. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, the author of Flow Theory, proved that a state of complete happiness is achievable through any activity. For some, it's the stadium stand. For others, it's something entirely different. And a final thought. Those not obsessed with sports often report feeling more present in their own lives. They don't spend 3 hours on a Sunday living through someone else's battle. They are fighting their own. There is a quiet but powerful strength in that. So if you can't tell a touchdown from an offside, you aren't missing out on some fundamental human experience. You are just different. Your reward system, your social instincts, your empathy, they are all tuned to a different frequency, and that is perfectly okay. The next time someone asks, "Did you see that goal?" like Shia, and you realize you absolutely could not care less, remember, you aren't broken, you aren't boring, you're just playing a different game, and quite possibly the stakes in your game are much higher.